Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Risk It for the Biscuit. It's been a little while, a couple of weeks. I've had some pretty serious issues with my hardware. I'm doing all of this on a 2012 Mac that does not want to play the game most of the time. But I got it going, I got it working, and I've got quite a bit of new hardware on the way. So hopefully this issue won't be a problem. I'm also in a new studio, which is why it sounds a little bit echoey. But I'm working on soundproofing the studio. There's a lot of new improvements on the way, so stick with me and I guarantee you'll be getting a better experience every time I drop a video. Right, so the video, that's why we're here. What I wanted to do with this video is just highlight the exclusives coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X in 2022 and beyond. There's a lot of talk on Twitter, which is just out of control, that Xbox has no games. And this is just simply not the case. I've done a lot of research for this video. I've spent a lot of time hunting down what's coming and when. And there is limited information, but what information there is, I have. And I'll squeeze as much into this video as I possibly can. That definitely doesn't mean that I'll get everything. I'll get as much as I can. But if I miss something, let me know in the comments. Alternatively, you can hit me up on Twitter at riskit4tb and we can continue the conversation there. And as always, like, subscribe and hit that bell so you're always up to date on the latest Risk It content. So let's get into it.
We're on a mission from God.
Just quickly, guys, before we get into it, this was going to be one single video with PlayStation at the front and Xbox at the back end of the video, but because it blew out on the first half of the video on just PlayStation alone, it's 10 minutes, so I figured I'd do a second video highlighting all the Xbox exclusives. So keep your eye out for that one, and for now, on with the show. So kicking off the video with all of the PlayStation exclusives coming to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. We believe in generations. So first at bat is Horizon Forbidden West, slated for release on February the 18th, 2022. Developed by PlayStation Studios' own Guerrilla Games. It's set in a dystopian USA, and after an AI apocalypse, the remaining survivors are unaware of their past, but the protagonist, Aloy, changed all that in the last game. If you've at all played the game, and I'm sure that most of you watching have, or at least have heard about it, it's got rave reviews, but personally, this one wasn't for me. I'm usually into my open worlds, and big robot dinosaurs sounded great, but about 3 hours in, I was as bored as batshit. I just completed Assassin's Creed though, so I might have been a bit open world fatigued, but the story just really kind of dragged on at the start. I'm told that once you've played it for a bit and it starts to get into it, that it becomes a lot better. But me personally, not super excited for this one, but we'll see what they do with it. Gran Turismo 7 releasing March 4th, 2022. What can you say about GT7? It's a racing sim with shiny ray-traced cars. It's a racing game. No, but seriously, this one looks like a banger. The last few didn't hit, and I think Polyphony Studios are looking to make a serious impression with this new iteration. We'll see new tools to tune and customize the hundreds of cars that are available in many different modes like multiplayer, arcade mode, simulator mode, and a new GT Sport mode. I've got no idea what that is, but no one does. I'm sure we'll find out when it drops March 24th, 2022. Hopefully, it hits better than the last ones. Moving on to the next banger from Sony, Forspoken from Luminous Productions, the team behind Final Fantasy 15. Scheduled for release in spring of 2022 for PS5 and PC. So, do we consider that an exclusive, Sony fans, or is it not exclusive? I do. I consider it exclusive, and it apparently is only a 2-year exclusive, which again, I consider an exclusive. And why do they have to say spring of 2022? There's 2 hemispheres, so are we talking about the northern or the southern hemisphere's spring? I hate it when they say spring or holiday, like America is the only country on the planet. Anyway, we'll assume it's the northern hemisphere, and that would be March, April, May, autumn in Australia. Regardless of what country you're in and where you're playing, This engine looks absolutely stunning. I believe it's the Luminous engine. That would make sense considering it's Luminous Productions producing the game. And it definitely looks on par with Unreal Engine 5 and anything that that engine can produce. It is really impressive. And I've got to say, this looks like it's definitely one to watch. The traversal looks quick and fluid. There wasn't a whole lot of combat shown in the trailer, not enough to grasp what it's going to be in a solid way, other than it's a real-time magical ability type based combat with some melee elements kind of sprinkled in there for good measure. Another solid win for the team is the addition of Amy Hennig, formerly of Naughty Dog, who worked on the Uncharted series, and she's involved heavily in the project, apparently working with the developers on the story. Based on what we've seen so far in the trailer and the pedigree at the studio, this is one that I'm extremely keen to see how it turns out. So moving on to the titles that we don't have a set release date for. They're just slated for particular years and some not slated for a year at all. And the first cab off that rank is Ghostwire Tokyo, supposedly dropping in early 2022. From Microsoft Studios, directed by Shinji Mikami of games like Resident Evil and The Evil Within, who's now heading up Tango Gameworks. This one's an FPS action horror, but kind of don't mistake it for a shooter. The combat looks like what I can kind of only describe as magical kung fu.
There remains work yet undone.
The developers say that the combat utilizes movements from Kuji Kiri, which is, from what I can find out about it on the internet, a type of philosophy more than a martial art that uses gestures. The devs say they, quote, wanted the player to feel like a badass spell-casting, high-tech ninja exorcist. Bit of a mouthful, but sounds pretty cool. So if that's, like, your thing, then keep your ear to the ground for this one's release date, because I don't think it'll be long until we get that announcement. God of War Ragnarok from Santa Monica Studios. This one is my most anticipated game of 2022. It was of 2021, but it got delayed, and it will hopefully come in early 2022. But a solid date has yet to be announced. So father and son are teaming up again, with Doug Judge reprising the role of Kratos and Sonny Suljic as the slightly older, more confident, but increasingly difficult Atreus to take on the Norse gods, and Thor, played by Sons of Anarchy's Opie Ryan Hurst. As the title suggests, Ragnarok will be the main theme surrounding the game. The release is set to be much larger than the previous installment, with 3 more realms to be added, bringing a total of 9, those being Vanaheim, Svartalheim, and Asgard. Tyr, the Norse god of war, will feature in the game, with no other Norse gods announced at this time. Now look, the trailer took a little bit of flack in the wake of Sony's showcase, with people pretty quick to point out the use of the previous game's assets and that it's graphically similar to last gen. And to this I'd say, who cares, man? The last one was amazing in every way. So more of the same is absolutely awesome, and I seriously cannot fucking wait until they release this game. I am super excited.
Nothing. Harness it. Let it serve you.
The next release in PlayStation's stable is Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac Games. Marked for release in 2023 or possibly 2024, little is known about the title other than Venom will be making his debut and possibly Kraven the Hunter. It was reported to be his voice in the trailer, voicing over the clip. Either one could be the main villain, but it's likely we'll have many villains to face off against, as in Spider-Man 1. There's rumours of co-op floating around the internet, and it's not hard to see why, with the appearance of Miles Morales alongside the original Spidey in the trailer. The smart money is on co-op. I personally believe that it would be a good direction to go in, and I'd be pretty stoked to be swinging around New York with a mate. But the studio's remaining tight-lipped about any other details regarding the game. Either way, I'm pretty sure this one is 100% gonna bang. Next up is Project Eve from Korean studio Shift Up. This game was announced in 2020, though no one seemed to really care until the recent showing at PlayStation Showcase. The internet buzz points to a 2022 release date, but nothing has been confirmed as of yet. Back in 2020, the game was announced for Xbox and PC, so I'm assuming that this is PlayStation throwing money at timed exclusivity again, which personally, I think's annoying. I mean, sure, if you're actually supporting the team in other ways like manpower or software, or something that actually improves the game, that's great, that's a great thing, like that helps the studio out, but this buying exclusivity bullshit pisses me off when Xbox or Sony do it. I'd be pretty interested to know what you guys think about timed exclusivity. Hit me up in the comments and let me know. Do you think timed exclusivity is a good thing, or should we just cut that bullshit out? Anyway, back to the game. Project Eve gave off some pretty heavy Bayonetta vibes with some Devil May Cry, Bloodborne type elements in the combat. Not a big fan of hack and slash without heart or story. I usually find them a little bit repetitive, but the graphics were top tier. And story-wise, we've only got a little bit of information, like Project Eve taking place not too far in the future on Earth that's been ravaged by invaders known as natives. Eve's a lone survivor of a paratrooper squad, and players basically have to fend off these natives, joining up with people on the planet to reclaim it. So if they can put together a good story and the graphics end up being as good as what's in the trailer, I'll be keen as mustard. So I'll keep my eye on this one and update you with any new developments. But moving on to the final game in PlayStation's announced upcoming releases, Wolverine. It's pretty hard not to get excited about this one, especially the way it was dropped as a big surprise, and the fact that it's Insomniac Games putting this one out. You look at Spider-Man, Miles Morales, they know what they're doing when it comes to Marvel. My only concern, and it's echoed through the community, would be that it's going to be a little bit of a toned down version of Wolverine. But the devs have stated it'll feature mature themes, but then there's mature and then there's mature. You know, if it's got any kind of Logan grit in it, I'm going to be all in on this game. There's no current release date, but my bet would be about 2025, and we'll just have to wait and see until then. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, share it out on social media, get my name out there. It really helps out the channel. I'm trying to make it to 100 subscribers before the end of the year. And any support you guys can give me is greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching the video. And don't forget, you've got to risk it for the biscuit.